actually is very much in the side of a ketogenic training as well. So they did a controlled trial, and they had two groups of people, and I think it was actually done in Ohio. Actually, don't quote me on that, but I think it was the University of Ohio. And so they took two groups of people, and one was eating carbohydrates and normal sort of things, and but healthy food, quote, whatever that means, but with carbohydrates, and then a ketogenic group, and they had them go for I think it was 42 weeks of eating just a ketogenic diet. So they made sure that they were fat adapted, and their body was making all the glucose and glycogen and ketones, right? And that they were able to adequately run their body on those ketones as well. And after 42 weeks, they put them under stress exercises and tested their physical output, and they found that they're pretty much the same, and they could propel themselves in the same way. And then they switched the groups, and so they had the groups that were on carbohydrates switch over to the keto group. And again, 42 weeks, just a big long study, 42 weeks to make sure that they were fat adapting. They know now that doesn't take nearly that long. It's like at most 3 weeks for everybody. Most people will be before that as well. But they really wanted to make sure. And so they switched the groups, and they tested their physical output, and they found that they were the same. They were performing at the same level. So it certainly shouldn't detract from your performance. One of the things is not being keto adapted, not being able to produce the amount of ketones that you need, produce the glucose and blood sugar and glycogen that you need to perform at an adequate level, and then having your body really tuned up for that. So if you do eat carbs intermittently, it can sort of slow down that process. But for me, I came from a professional rugby background. I played rugby high level for 10 years before medical school, and then through medical school and beyond. I was an All-American and played in England and all over the US and Canada and all over the world. And I did 5 years of that on a carnivore diet, and I did 5 years of that just on a normal standard diet, but a clean, high protein, high meat sort of standard diet. And I can tell you it's night and day difference between my exercise potential during carnivore and outside of that, because when you are keto fat adapted, whatever you want to call it, you can produce an unlimited supply of blood sugar and glycogen and ketones. Whereas when you eat carbohydrates, it raises your insulin, and insulin, simply put, forces energy into cells, but it doesn't allow it to come out of cells. And so now your fat cells are blocked, right? So it blocks proteolysis, it blocks lipolysis. So it stops your fat cells from actually producing energy and replenishing your blood sugar and replenishing your glycogen and your ketones. And so you have to keep eating carbohydrates. So you can maintain that same energy level. You can still work out, but you have to just keep eating carbs, and drinking